Okay, my phone is on airplane mode. I would ask any participants in the room to please silence their phones as well. It's time to start according to this thing. It's 7 o'clock. Do we have a quorum? Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 on Zoom. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 of the 11. We do have a quorum. We could get started. Has everyone read the agenda? Are there any changes that need to be done to the agenda? Mr. Kevin, you said you might have a change to the agenda. You wanted to add an item or no? Okay, thanks. Can we approve the agenda as written? Without opposition, the agenda is approved. We go on to public commentary. We have guests here in the room as well as some on Zoom. I am going to have the guests in the room speak first. If you could get towards my computer so that the people online can hear you as well, that would be awesome.
I've been registered to vote in Colorado as a Libertarian since 1985 and done some party stuff with the Boulder County Libertarians for a long time. I'm usually behind the scenes working a booth or something like that, but we're downtown tonight and we're interested to come.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Did you want to say anything?
You should introduce all your guests.
All my guests, even if he doesn't want to talk.
If I don't want to talk. My name is Bo Schaefer. Some people here know me, some people don't. I've been around for a while. I'm the newly elected chair of the Boulder County Libertarian Party. It's a position I held some years ago, and now I'm back. And I used to also sit on this board once upon a time. I was the records director. So I've also run for about a half a dozen different positions in Boulder County, commissioner, representative, Senate, most notably for sheriff. And last time I ran for sheriff, I got 17%. It was a two-way race, and I got 17% in a couple of precincts. So it can be done, but it ain't easy.
Right.
And anyway, like my wife said, we're just down here in Denver tonight, just happened to be here, so we thought we'd come by and see how things are.
Thank you for
It's nice
joining us,
meeting you.
Bo. Nice meeting you. Did you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Reed Dodson. I am the treasurer with Jeffco affiliate and doing treasurer things tonight and visiting.
Thank you. You're on the agenda. But you can introduce yourself.
Hi, Regan Benson.
Hi, Michelle Pogue. I have a question for Bo.
Okay.
Were you not elected to the water board at one time?
Yes.
Yes. Just thought I remembered that.
Elected libertarians in town.
Mr. Bill Branson with the Joe Jorgensen campaign.
I have a couple of organizations that I'm representing tonight. I can take care of all of this up front in my public comment and save you some time later. Number one, first of all, representing the Jorgensen-Cohen campaign for the state of Colorado as the state coordinator. Would like to announce, number one, that I have a co-coordinator who's graciously stepped up and willing to be the in-state guy in September, October, November, as we're going to be out of state. And his name is Mr. Wayne HARLOS, former chairman of the Libertarian Party of Colorado. I have a supply of these yard signs out in the car. If anybody would like to take one with them tonight, as long as they promise to actually put it in use, you're welcome to have one. If you're representing a group like a county affiliate or something and you want to take some back, see me about taking a supply of 5, 6, 10, or whatever we happen to have left when this is over. Also, I have here for people in the room a quick little how to be a volunteer for the Jorgensen campaign leaflet. If you'd like to take one, they're here in front of me. We do have a campaign rally that was just announced on Saturday night, I believe, we got approval from the campaign that there will be a rally in Parker, Colorado on the 29th at 5 o'clock in the afternoon with the Jorgensen bus and Dr. Joe for an hour. It is a COVID mandate limited crowd of 250 people. So the campaign has decided to charge $5 a head based on experience they've had where they did this in, I think, Michigan. They did an Eventbrite ticket that was free. They sold out of tickets in the first day and only half the people showed up. So they're not going to do free tickets on Eventbrite for capacity limited events. If they want people for if I had $1,000 and 250 people showed up, or $1,250, I would walk around that event and hand them each a $5 bill. But I want that place to be full. I want there to be 250 people in that place. As an update, the Eventbrite site did not go up until Sunday morning, and as of noon today, we'd already sold 70 tickets out of the 250 available. So I have no doubt with 19 days to go, we are going to sell out of 250 tickets. So if you want to be there, get your ticket. There will be more information from our unconvention staff about how people that attend the unconvention at the same facility at the same day will actually have access to that rally. Well, if she wants to
Part of
talk to
your
that.
ticket.
And it's part of the agenda too, the convention stuff.
What else for the campaign? We will have on the way to us rack cards, handouts, business cards, all kinds of extra material, and hopefully have those by rally time. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbranson. Mr. McKeon,
Yes, how are you?
good. You're on the camera.
Oh, hi.
You had something to say to our candidates and volunteers.
Well, we're looking for people to work with adults in their community and with their children, to have the adults read and discuss the US Constitution with the young person in their life.
And what organization are you with?
Liberty lives forever.
And
I have a free US Constitution I can email to anyone that would like to participate. You just have to email me, Andy, A-N-D-Y, @libertylivesforever.org. Just do that. And what we're going to try to do is then have the students write me an email indicating what they learned. So we have some kind of follow-up to show that the students have actually learned something. I also have a free copy of the Declaration of Independence if you want that.
awesome. Thank you very much, Andy. And thank you for joining us. I have a few people online.
I have a question for Andy.
Go ahead.
He has those materials. How will we get them?
They're online, he said.
They're online.
You email him.
Liberty lives forever, not for this.
Okay, send you an email.
I'll send you the free copy. I'm also, I don't know if I can say something else.
Yeah. Yeah, let me bring you the camera so you can speak into it.
Okay, the American Legion State Commander is giving certificates of appreciation for people that are flying the American flag at their house. So I'm asking anyone that would be flying an American flag, if you don't have one, I can give you one. You can put it up in front of your house, apartment, wherever it is. What we're trying to do is reignite patriotism. That's the title of the certificate. And the certificate is to honor everyone for flying an American flag. This is not political, obviously, or partisan. It's Americanism. We want to send a message to the people here in Colorado that we are Americans and we love this country. And we'll do whatever it takes to preserve it and protect it, defend it. So anyone, I can pass these around if anyone wants to see one. But you have to be, you only keep one if you're going to be flying a flag. If you don't have a
Thank you,
flag,
Andy.
I got them here.
All right, time is limited, so let me
Okay,
get to
thank
the
you.
other people. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
All right, people online that want to say a few words. I saw Mr. Wayne HARLOS is online. Would you like to say anything, Wayne? You'd have to unmute yourself.
Oh, I'm just here for the Douglas County Report, Victoria.
Okay. Any other visitors? Looks like that is it. We do have the LNC secretary, but I'm sure she will. Here, Karen Ann, did you want to say anything right now during public commentary or just during your LNC report?
Nope, just during my report.
All right, thank you. And now I'm going to go back to, if I can get this. We have the affiliates reports, Arapahoe County.
I'll come to you this time.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Arapahoe County will be having their monthly Arapahoe Happy Meeting tomorrow evening at the Gilbranson residence and Pogue residence. There's information on a Facebook event and also on Meetup as to where that is, and the times will be starting at about 6 o'clock. And actually, there's another event that's going to take place just prior where we're going to do a sign wave off the 470 overpass, which is immediately adjacent to our property, with signs from the Jorgensens, from the Doan campaign, from the Mulder campaign for RTD, and anybody else that wants to join and bring whatever signs you want. We're going to hang those off the overpass.
I heard you had a
470.
special speaker joining you guys virtually.
It's on my agenda here. The agenda for the Arapahoe Happy Meeting, thank you, Madam Chairman, is a special training event hosted by Mr. Larry Sharp. It will be available to a very select group of people, ours being one of them, where we will, on a group, participate remotely via the magic of video and the internet from our living room. So we encourage anybody that's interested to attend. There will also be food and beverage served as usual. The menu of choice tomorrow will be hot dogs and hamburgers. And depending on who else shows up, we may come up with something else. Also from my previous thing, which I didn't talk about because it has nothing to do with anything, I have a small supply of additional LPCO newsletters from the last mailing. We mailed them to a mailing list of 718 people, primarily donors of the party and confirmed activists. We also got a supply, I hope, to virtually every affiliate group in the state. If there's an affiliate group out there that didn't get any, let me know. We can pop some in a priority mail to you tomorrow. You can reach me at an email, klgelkin@aol.com. Yes, I said AOL.com. I've had my AOL address since Al Gore invented the internet, and I'm going to keep it. What else? Since I'm filling in for Eric Mulder as the chairman of our party. I think that's it.
Thank you very much. Boulder County affiliate, is there any news from Boulder?
All except for the fact that you're a whole new crew up there, Boulder, although some of the old crew's still there too, but some people also like the Paul Tiger be back on board. And I will unleash him on anybody I feel I need to unleash him on. He's a very useful tool sometimes. But at any rate, I'd like to hopefully to reinvigorate things up in Boulder County and get us involved in local elections again. At one time, the clerk used to call me and have me come in to do the things that different parties would do. And ever since other things happened, that hasn't been that way. They've not really liked the Libertarians at all in there. So I'm slowly moving to try to get ourselves back in the favor of the local government, to see if we can't start slow and work our way up.
Thank you. Chaffee County. Steve, do you have any news from Chaffee? Steve Gallant?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you now.
I know they had their convoy on Saturday. That's the main update. Unless there's anything else you know of.
I don't know much more right now. Delta. Do we have anybody here from Delta? No. Denver. Would you come up here so you can so the people on Zoom can see you and hear you.
Yeah, so I attended the Denver Let Her Speak convoy. We had about 30 people or so show up. It was a pretty successful event. A lot of people definitely were staring at us and got some positive reactions from a lot of people as well. We've got our next meeting coming up on August 18th, next Tuesday. That's at 6:30 at the dive, or actually it's at Rhubar. We've got Ross Klopp coming to speak to us about his RTD race.
Thank you, Kyle. Douglas County.
Yeah, we had also a rally, Jorgensen rally on Saturday, and it was successful. We had a couple people from Arapahoe County show up and helped us with that. We also had a successful trash cleanup a couple of weeks before that, where we sponsor a good portion of the section of Parker Roads. We had a great trash cleanup, and yeah, it was dirty this time, so we picked up a lot of trash. But more importantly, what we have scheduled for this upcoming meeting, first Thursday of next month, is the Douglas County Libertarian Party is sponsoring a debate between all of the commissioner candidates, one of which is our own Victoria Reynolds. So this is going to be very exciting. We're going to have an opportunity for Victoria to show the world what the Libertarian position is. And I think it's going to be a very, very successful thing. I think we'll have 200 to 300 people there. The Republicans will be promoting it. The CRCO group that pretty much controls all of the social media in Castle Rock will be promoting it heavily, and they will be recording it as well. We were also able to secure the White Pavilion in downtown Castle Rock, which is an outdoor space and should be able to accommodate 200, 250 people very easily. So this is going to be a very exciting opportunity, and I really look forward to giving Victoria the opportunity to show the world what the Libertarian position is.
Thank you, Wayne. Elbert, do we have anybody from Elbert County? Guess Joey's not here. El Paso?
I was in that the Let Her Speak convoy. There were 13 cars that showed up, and I'm not sure what the significance of this is, but of those 13 cars, mine was the only one that had a person that ever went to an El Paso County meeting. They were all strangers to me. There was one person, one lady that was about my vintage. Everybody else was really young. Now that's encouraging as hell. They're going to our meetings. I don't know. That's a problem we're going to have to solve. That's about it.
Thank you, John.
Oh, no, one more thing I wanted to say. Before the day before, I got some of those how to help Joe Jorgensen's campaign pamphlets or brochures from Kevin, and a dozen yard signs. I gave them all out to the participants in the convoy, so they went somewhere. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Jefferson County.
Hello, this is Ross. I've got two items to talk about. First, our next meeting is going to be on August 19th, and it's a new location. It's at an alpaca farm in Conifer, and it should be tons of fun. If you want to see the alpacas, you can come at 6 o'clock, and the meeting starts at 7 o'clock. We're also going to have several candidates in attendance at the meeting as well, and we will be talking about a upcoming debate that has been agreed upon for House District 22 between the Libertarian and Democrat candidates. The Republican hasn't accepted the debate yet, but it'll be at least between those two candidates. So that should be pretty exciting. So definitely, if you can make it to that meeting on the 19th, that would be great. To drive actually isn't that bad because it's on 285 and it's all four lane all the way up there. So it's like a half hour from Lakewood, so it's not that far of a drive at all. So
Awesome. What's the name of the place?
it is a private residence, and the address is on Facebook. It's off of Warhawk. So you just go up Highway 285 and then get off at, I think it's Highway 73, and then you just go west a little ways. And you're pretty much there.
Thank you very much, Ross. Mesa County. Pueblo and Otero. I guess, John, we need to unmute you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay. We also held a Let Speak convoy, thanks to Jim Wiley. He coordinated the whole thing, did a great job. Even though only 4 cars showed up, I will say that one of them actually came all the way over from Fremont County. They actually lived in Cotopaxi at one time, and then they recently moved to Canyon City, and very energetic. Took one of the newsletters, Victoria took one of the Raymond Doan signs that you gave me. In fact, I gave away all the Raymond Doan signs that you dropped off the other day. So they all have the homes. I need more. Was able to give away a lot of newsletters at that event, hoping to give away the rest of them at our meeting on August 18th. For anybody that's been down, it'll be at the same place, the Senate Bar and Grill. They're still allowing us to have meetings now. We had a pretty good showing last month. The people that show up really want to concentrate on local events, so I'm trying to facilitate that and still squeak in news about the state and national campaigns as well. But they're really focused on making a dent in local politics, specifically with Metro West Metro District. They're wanting to raise taxes. They're wanting to become a city. We're a Metro District now, and it's nice and small, and most of the people who live here want to keep it that way. So I think this is a great issue for promoting libertarian principles that keep government small so our taxes can stay low and our freedoms can stay high. So we got a really good group down there. We did live stream the Let Her Speak event, and I think several other counties did too. Jim was the one that understood that and understood how important it was, so we made sure everybody was live streaming that. So I really want to give a big kudos to Jim Wiley. He did a great job with that, and he's planning on attending our meeting on the 18th, as are the others that showed up for that convoy. So a great way to grow the party.
Thank you, John. Next up is I guess that's it. Oh, wait, Mesa County. I did see Mark Montoni last week. 10 days ago, I was in Mesa County, and he said that their meetings are back up over at the Old Chicago on the 4th Wednesday of every month. So 4th. You said 4th to me. So let's verify. Yeah, he said it was the 26th. Yep. The last Wednesday. All right. Well, but their meetings are back up and running at the Old Chicago. LNC report. CARYN. CARYN, you're muted.
Yeah, it just invited me to unmute. Thankfully, not too much is going on right now. Somebody actually had to send an email to the list and said, is this thing broken? I haven't seen an email since Friday, which is a good thing. It means we're all busy doing productive things. we're having a meeting allegedly next month. I say allegedly because we do have representatives in some states that are still quite draconian, like New York, DC, that sort of area. So we're not sure yet if we're going to have an in-person meeting yet because of those types of restrictions. I'll probably know that in the next month. The draft minutes from the first session are out. If anyone wants to see that draft copy, I can send it to them. I'm working on the second one right now. And that's pretty much it. Just a lot of paperwork going on. Something kind of unrelated to the LNC. Well, I'm also on the Colorado RCB Policy Committee. David, you might hear from Linda Templin because at our last meeting, they started talking about how our ballot access is way too easy in Colorado, and I lost my shit over that. So I told her if she's looking for a fast track to lose support for her organization from every single libertarian in Colorado, she's going about it the right way. So I said, don't step in this landmine here. Maybe you want to talk to David, who got the minor party law passed, because that whole ballot censorship thing really alarmed me that they were starting to tie that to their agenda. So hopefully my comments that week will dissuade them, because the Green Party people weren't too happy about those comments either. So unless there's any questions on the LNC stuff or even the RCB stuff, it's all calm on the home front.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Harlos. Has everyone read the minutes? And were the changes to the minutes that we requested done, Mr. Spalding? I know there were a few changes that we had requested.
Madam Chairman.
Oh, I'm unmuted. There were 3 changes that were implemented. They're all set.
Victoria, can you hear me?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, we can hear you.
I have a point of privilege. We keep on getting muted, and if you are making motions by unanimous consent, asking for any objections and we're muted, we have no way to object. And so either can you leave us unmuted, or can you call for a voice vote on motions, please?
You should be able to unmute yourselves if you're on the board. I don't know. We'll unmute all.
Michael Quinlan said that there's no way to do that. If I
Yeah,
get,
you can't choose the people that are allowed to unmute themselves.
Well, you could unmute all.
Yeah.
Let them unmute themselves. And I would just ask that anybody who is not on the board during motions not unmute themselves.
thank you.
Work.
Cool.
Thanks. Officer reports, business plans, questions, motions, 5 minutes. So today for me is a very special day. It is the day of the first, fue el día del primer grito de la independencia de Ecuador. It was the day of the independence of Ecuador, where is the place where I come from. August 10th, 1809 was the first time that in Latin America, the word liberty was said as a way to gain independence from Spain. That didn't happen until 13 years later in 1822. But that day, well, there had been some meetings at a woman's house. The woman's name is Manuela Cañizares, and the edict that was written as the independence of the king was one paragraph. And if I may, I'd like to read that paragraph because it just means so much to me as someone who loves freedom and someone who has seen freedom go away, unfortunately. Let me just find it. I just had it a minute ago and now I lost it. So. The text reads, "We, the undersigned deputies of the people, given the present critical circumstances of the nation, solemnly declare that the current magistrates of this capital and its provinces have ceased to function." And then it proceeds with electing the whole new government of Ecuador. That followed a massacre the next day where many hundreds of people were killed by the Spaniards. It then followed it ignited the sentiment of liberty. And it really saddens me that there is no liberty in Ecuador anymore. And I also see it going away in the United States. When I came here in 1989, I found freedom. It was this taste that I had never tasted before, the joy of being able to have liberty, to be able to be responsible for one's own actions and to be able to be part of something great. And it's going away. I see it going away here. And this was the last place where we had any liberty. It is up to libertarians to bring it back and make this place free again. And we can do it. It is doable. It just is going to take a lot of hard work and the will to fight for freedom. I invite everyone here to join me in making sure that we have liberty back in Colorado again, and then we can go from there. That was the addition to my report. If you read my report, you'll see that I have added a new committee, as Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution says. The chairman may name the chairs of all committees and make committees as necessary. And we have started a new committee known as the Best Practices Committee. I have named Ms. Regan Benson as chairman of said committee. Towards the end of the program, there will be time for her to explain what the committee will do and how to apply for the committee. One thing that we both agreed on was that no member of the board would be on said committee, so that it would be completely impartial in dealing with any kind of best practices or complaints that may happen. That is all I have to add to my report. Mr. Vice Chair.
I have two things to add. I would like to thank all the people who helped with the signature gathering for both of the two RTD positions, District D and I'm trying to remember which district Eric Mulder was in. F, D, and F. It was a lot of work, and I think both of us made it on. Unfortunately, it does take the Secretary of State a really long time to figure out which ones are valid and which ones aren't. So that process is still going on. I'd also like to thank everybody who helped out at the event to distribute the newsletter, which was about 2 weeks ago. So
there was a bunch of people there, wasn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot. So that made it look pretty easy. So yeah, it's great to have that help. Without the help on my signature gathering, there's no way I would have gotten the 250 all by myself. So it was a huge help. So that's all I have to add.
It's really interesting how in times of government and infringement and COVID, they ask us to stay away from everybody, but yet require our candidates to hand somebody a piece of paper and a pen and be this close to them to be able to get on the ballot. It's just,
yeah, it's ridiculous. They had the whole Secretary of State building closed when I was turning my petitions in, and I had to call in, and then they had somebody come down and open the door up. But Yeah, it's,
Sounds like a double standard, doesn't it? Thank you so much for running and thank you for being here. Continuing on with the agenda, treasurer,
Nothing to add.
nothing to add.
Nothing to add to my report.
Fundraising, Mr. Hutton.
Nothing further to add to the report. Just on a point of personal privilege, getting back to signature gathering. Huge shout out to everybody who organized the signatures in Maine. We cleared that for the Jorgensen campaign by less than 1/1000th of, or just over 1/1000th of a percent. So we had 4,007 valid signatures out of 4,000 required. So yeah, just keeping the fight going for liberty all across the nation.
Thank you, Mr. Hutton. Campaigns. Mr. Bruce Griffith, thank you for joining us. I am going to put the video back on. And
all the people who don't know me.
yeah, there you go.
Okay, well, I don't have a report, having been back on the board for actually a few minutes now, because that was the agreement. So there's no report, and I have nothing to add to it. But I'm happy to get back into it. And
if I might just add to your report, since I am the chairman of the campaigns committee that was created under your predecessor. The two things I would like to say about that: number one, your predecessor, to my understanding, has officially turned in his resignation for the House seat that he was running for in Weld County as of today. So that's another vacancy for the vacancy committee to consider. Number two, as I stated earlier, Michelle and I will be out of the state September, October, November. And if you would like to find a new person to assist you as the chairman of that committee under you, I would continue to assist as a committee member. But I don't think it's fair to me to be the chair of the campaigns committee and not be here during the campaign.
so I have my work cut out for me.
I'm here for you, Bruce.
There are a few volunteers that may be willing to help. Thank you, Bruce. Outreach.
Thank you. All right, well, first and foremost, I believe this is my first official meeting as outreach director, so thank you. And bear with me if I make any mistakes. So I did some quick math before I came here tonight. In any given calendar year, I guess a sitting board member gets roughly 36 minutes to speak. I'm here because I want to be here. I'm not here because I'm forced to be here. So I will never not come with something to say. I'll never come empty-handed. I plan to use my time every single time. And to be, thank you. This will be a good segue into the point I want to make. To be completely honest, I'm not sure if this is a one and done, my first board meeting or not. I don't know how long my duration is as outreach director. I honestly don't know. I can take an educated guess. I'm not sure if it ends at the end of this month at the convention, or if it's a year from now. I honestly don't know. So that brings me to the main point I want to make. And let me preface this point with saying that I'll never give any suggestions or any sort of call to action without always offering my services and planning to help in any way I can. So the major point I want to make is that I noticed, due to the high rate of turnover, I believe that it's in the best interest of the board to come up with an onboarding process. I'm kind of just, you know, just going along with everything and trying to learn as best I can. I think that, you know, due to the high rate of turnover, it would make sense to have some sort of process that as soon as somebody vacates, somebody can immediately fill in and be up to speed. And I will gladly help create that document, the format. I'll take notes. The only thing I can't contribute to it is the content because I don't know much yet. My next point would be, you know, piggybacking off that is maybe there should be discussion to create some sort of, and I don't know if this is possible, but some sort of junior board member or apprentice or intern, somebody who can shadow whoever's in a director role, just in case somebody does vacate, they can fill in the intermediate time. Obviously, they would have limited access to the, you know, all of everything on the Google Drive. Third point I want to make is I believe that there may need to be more meetings, you know, not one as public as this, but a bi-weekly just call. Doesn't have to be long between the board members, just to touch base instead of just talking over email. And I can moderate and host it. It's fine. I'll pay for the Zoom. It's doesn't matter. I guess the other thing from an outreach perspective in the same regard is like, you know, I don't know if there is a meeting for all of the chairs, the affiliate parties to discuss and kind of come up with strategies, or I think there needs to be a better line of communication. So I'll host all of that. And I don't know how much time I have left, but that's the main stuff I want to say. I could talk for a while, but.
David could probably remind her or how to CRM access. There's supposed to be a continuity library. And the other ideas are great. I think that as outreach director, you could you want to use, I have donated my party so you can definitely just let me know and I'll set up the meeting.
That concludes my.
I think
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I couldn't hear Victoria, but if she didn't say it, did somebody pass to you the manual that lists all the tasks and passwords and stuff?
Not that I can recall, no.
That's the continuity binder.
Continuity binder, yeah.
Let's see, I don't even know what folder that's in. Either way, if one exists, I was never informed about it, which should be concerned.
Without objection from the board.
Without objection, we will hear from Mr. Gilbranson.
Again, as a past outreach director and having been involved in some of the rewrites of our documents, bylaws, and constitution, every member of this board has the ability to create your own committee of volunteers. And part of the intent with that was to build a training ground for somebody, for instance, me being the chairman of the campaigns director. If the campaigns director is gone and I wanted that job, I've got the experience already because I've been involved in the department. I could easily step in and take over the role. So you can create your own committee. You can assign your own chairman of that committee. You can work closely with that person and bring them along yourself, and you will build a bench over that process. I'm available to anytime. Of course.
Madam Chair, on that same theme, Funkhauser, I've got 3 people on the Standing Conventions Committee. They are the same 3 people from last time around. And it sounds like they have a wealth of experience. So I would really encourage you to find those people that have that experience in the state, or you find the ones that you want to kind of grow with. And I'd strongly encourage you to get them on said committee and use them as a sounding board like I have done.
Thank you, Mr. Hutton. Anything further on outreach? Yes, sir.
The other suggestion, the other resource that you have available to you as outreach is, I think, just about everybody sitting in this room has actively participated in outreach in the past, and very actively. And so that's one of the positions that's easier to fill in that regard because there's a wealth of experience.
Right. No, I understand that.
So feel free to lean on any of us. Is
No.
really the message.
Definitely, but I'm just talking to the broader scope of things. There should be, I should easily not have to ask people. I should see a folder with everything, even if it's a small little sheet of terminology and what to do, when to do it, who to reach out to, something centralized.
Do you have access to your drive?
I do, but no one's showed me anything about my drive.
I'll be glad to sit there with you and let's go through it. Affiliates?
Nothing to add to my report, but I have a motion which we could put in new business. If that's the best spot for it. And separately, Mike Spalding and I wanted to raise the issue of getting a giant banner. And I don't know if that's better done as a motion or just a discussion at some point.
Oh, what? Could you speak up? We can't hear you.
Oh, Mike Spalding and I were talking about getting a giant banner for Joe Jorgensen. And I don't know if that's better done as a motion or just a discussion at some point.
Is it a spending motion?
It could be.
You could just make the motion now, I suppose.
So I guess I'm moving to have a banner made up that we can show over on highway overpasses. Mike Spalding and I were thinking that would be the best way to get maximum eyeballs on the banner.
How many dollars?
Many dollars.
That's probably a question for Kevin, perhaps.
200 should cover a banner.
Depending on the size, it could be more.
For the board, I know a place where I could probably get banners for about $1.50 to $1.75 per square foot.
So like a 20-foot banner by 4 foot would be how much?
80 times 1.5, $120.
So there's a motion to spend on a ginormous banner up to how much money, Mr. Gallant?
Let's say 300 just to leave us some wiggle room.
There is a motion to spend up to $300 on a banner for our presidential candidate. Do we have a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion on the topic?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We can also use that at the convention. Nice decoration.
Noted.
Since my name was mentioned, Madam Chairman, and I've had communication with both Mr. Gallant and Mr. Spalding on this issue, as a representative from the campaign, if it's going to be a Joe Jorgensen banner, the actual physical appearance of the banner will be dictated by the campaign. If they wanted to do, and the first topic was something to carry forward the debates issue, the letter speak issue. If we wanted to use that sort of graphic, we would need permission from that organization, which is a separate organization. So the only thing that the party itself can do is to either get permission from either of those two groups for the graphics they want to use, or they can create their own LP party graphics. And they need to determine what exactly the message is going to be. Are you going to be talking about presidential debates? Or are you going to be talking about the presidential candidate? Or are you be talking about the Libertarian Party? That doesn't necessarily have to be decided to approve the expenditure, but that is a process that you'll have to go through.
Noted. Thank you very much, Mr. Gilbranson.
I have a question. This is
Mr.
membership.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is for question for Kevin. I'm sure that Joe Jorgensen wants us to promote her name. I can't imagine she wants to hold us up in bureaucracy. What's the easiest way to get this done? I mean, here we are. We want to spend $300 on a banner to promote her presidency. What's the easiest way to get this rolling quickly?
Jan,
Mr. Gilbranson.
If the decision is to do a Joe Jorgensen banner, I have pre-approved graphics for Joe Jorgensen banners. It would not require any additional approval from the campaign.
We just have to use her graphics.
You have to use her graphics.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Pickerel. Any other commentary or discussion? Shall we move to a vote?
Call the question, madam.
Yes, sir.
I move for a vote. Voice vote, please.
Voice vote. Will you all unmute yourselves if you are on the board? And all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Without opposition, the motion passes. Legislative, Mr. Hess.
Oh, one moment, Madam Chair, I have a second motion. Would you like me to make that now or save that for?
Go ahead, Mr. Gallant.
The second motion is that we designate a calendar keeper, one individual who is going to keep track of all the dates that we need to meet, whether in our bylaws or state laws, so that we don't miss any dates that we need to meet.
Do we have any volunteer to be a calendar keeper?
I have a comment.
Oh, who was that?
Mike.
Mike, go ahead.
At one point, we were doing it through the secretary, and then David Aiken built a nice database to help us with the dates for the convention. And then the outreach director generally keeps track of the dates for People's Fair and all the other events we go to. So we don't have one unified place for all the dates, but it would require somebody to acquire the expertise from various other board members that are handling it right now. Seems like it might be duplicative.
Mr. Kevin is volunteering to keep track of the calendar. Or to keep track of the multiple calendars. So it might be good to have a second person looking at all the calendars. I kind of agree with Steve on that.
And Mr. Kevin is Gilbranson?
No, Kevin, Mark Kevin.
Kevin, okay. That's a big job.
Funkhauser. Mr. Mark Kevin, our outreach director. Maybe the three of you could work on it together. Yeah. Is that a motion that needs to be made, or just go ahead and just do it? Steve?
I mean, we could just do it. It just would be good to know that there's one person we can always turn to and say, what's, at each meeting, they can tell us, hey, we've got this date coming up, and make sure we're prepared for it.
Well, if Mr. Kevin is volunteering, is there anybody opposed to Mr. Kevin being a date keeper? And please go ahead and unmute yourselves if anybody's opposed. Speak so now. And then we can take it to a vote if there's any opposition. Doesn't appear to be any. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark, for doing that.
Thank you, Mark.
David Atkin and Mike Spalding. Membership. Oh, wait, legislative. Mr. Hess.
Yes, I don't really have anything to add to my report. It's out there and available. I continue to keep an eye on the 4 outstanding ballot initiatives that have turned in signatures to see what the Secretary of State does with those. They're the paid medical family leave initiative, which we would likely be against. The allowing voters in Central City, Black Hawk, Cripple Creek to expand game types and single bed initiatives, which we'd probably be in favor of, barring some kind of weird cost or something like that. Voter approval of certain new enterprises exempt from Tabor initiative. So preventing those exempt organizations, little special tax districts, from being set up without a vote of people. if they're more than 50 million within their first 5 years. So that's a good thing. It'd add them to Tabor requirements. So we'd be supportive of that if it hit the ballot. And the last measure to decrease the income tax rate from 4.63% to 4.55. I'd definitely be supportive of that. But those are the ones we're waiting on the SOS to finish signature verification on.
Thank you, Mr. Hess.
I have a question.
Who's speaking?
Mike?
Mike, go ahead.
Matt, first, thanks for the good report. It was great to get an update on those. Did we submit anything to the Blue Book group? Are we part of the Blue Book committee where they put in the comments about the various pro and con about the various ballot initiatives?
No, that I have not had any access to. I can inquire.
Okay, yeah, and I can inquire too. I'll let you know what I find out, but it might be useful to put our statement in there on some of those.
Yeah, there's a few that they don't even have registered opposition for a couple of initiatives. Like the one I'm particularly worried about is the repeal of the Gallagher Amendment.
Oh, yeah.
Gallagher Amendment in 1982 set the ratio of in-states to out-of-state property tax responsibility or burden, right? So residential property tax equals about 45% of the total share of state property taxes, and non-residential property tax revenue equals about 55%. So we tax the people that live in Colorado less. It encourages people to keep their homes and stay residents of Colorado and so on and so forth. Well, they want to get rid of all those caps. But those caps have reduced by effectively 70-ish% the amount of property tax we pay adjusted for inflation since 1982. So I'd be opposed to that.
Thank you very much. I will continue on. Legislative, we did membership. Mr. Pick.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I wanted to bring up as far as I get all the inquiries that come in from their website, and I wanted to say that since I've been tracking this since May of 2019, we've had more people volunteer for the party in 1 month than at any time since that time. So that's good news. But the rest of my report, I don't have a whole lot to add to. So I'm going to use my time to bring up a couple of things I think that attract membership and that is getting fired up about real issues that libertarians care about. Piling on is from what Mr. Hess said, the legislation that's coming down, both good and bad, is a great way to attract membership. It's a great topic to bring up at outreach events. The fact that we want to support extending Tabor to not only taxes but fees, because that's how state and local governments are getting around Tabor right now. And Gallagher's an important part of that. So we ought to be way out in front on opposing the Gallagher, gutting the Gallagher amendment. We ought to be way out in front on promoting reduction in state income tax. I think that we need to keep pounding the table on all the egregious acts that are coming out of the governor's office on all the COVID lockdowns. We ought to be putting out something every day on that. Every one of us in our counties ought to be putting something on our Facebook page every day about that. This is why we exist as a party, in my opinion. We can hold board meetings all day long, but if we're not doing those things, I think that's what gets people fired up about joining the Libertarian Party. I think things like what Rand Paul was willing to do, he called out his own Republicans this week and said, what the hell is Donald Trump doing? He is more of a tax and spend Democrat than Democrats are. That's the kind of thing we ought to be pointing out constantly. You got Republicans revolting against the Republican Party because they are spending more than any Democrat ever has. Those are things we ought to bring up. That's what brings in membership. And we need a pound table, and so we can get those numbers up that I'm seeing already and bring more people into the party. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pickrell. Communications. Is Josh with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Barely. Can you get your volume up higher?
Can you hear me now?
Yep, much better.
So the only thing I have to add is on Saturday the 15th, CARYN has agreed to hold a Zoom training session for Facebook with some of my volunteers. So I want to thank her for that. And one thing that's been pointed out to me was scheduling some sign waving events. So if anyone has any good ideas on days or times or locations, that we can advertise them, that'd be good.
So this event on the 15th of August, that's this Saturday, CARYN and HARLOS is doing a training for the volunteers on Facebook. Is anybody welcome to join this training? What time is it at? Is there a Zoom meeting put up on the website? Or how are we doing this?
Yeah, if it's okay with CARYN, I can send it out and invite more people.
It depends on what you're looking for. Some of it is kind of like insider baseball strategy on getting eyeballs and things like that. So I wouldn't necessarily say that's a general public thing. I wouldn't mind any members of the board or, the board volunteers, but it's not something that's geared towards rando party member.
CARYN and affiliate leadership, like communications directors from
Yeah,
different.
absolutely. Like any party leadership or party volunteer, just not somebody who's just like, oh, I saw this on Facebook and we never heard of them, but they're just going to show up. It's not really something geared towards that.
I'll just put it on our group messaging boards.
Yeah, and I could, send the Zoom link out to the board, and Steve Gallant could get it out to the affiliates.
Okay, Mr. Griffith had a question as well.
What about candidates? Campaigns?
You certainly could, but I have to tell you the type, because this is a very specific social media strategy that's for a very long game, not something in spurts for elections. And some of the strategies, that's what it's geared towards. You can pick up something very good, I'm sure, but I would not use the same strategy to manage a state party page as a campaign at all.
Thank you very much. Anything further, Josh?
That's it.
Thank you very much, Josh. We move on to Secretary Mike.
Steve already covered the banner. I have nothing to add to my report.
Thank you, Mike. Technology, is there anything to say?
I have nothing.
Database.
Just take the.
Okay, back in March, the party approved spending $150 on postcards to newly registered libertarians in mostly rural counties where we do not currently have a group. I sent those out last week, and I also sent out the same thing to new registered libertarians in Arapahoe County. I'll also be doing the same thing for El Paso and Mesa County this coming week. So hopefully we'll start getting some feedback for that. The other thing I learned in a conversation with Ken Molman, who's the LNC vice chairman, is the state of Kentucky has been getting about a 7% response from talking with newly registered libertarians. Those are the people that are coming to their local meetings. So some form of this strategy obviously works for them, and we ought to continue to pursue that sort of thing. So that's all I have.
I have a question.
Yes.
So since you got the voter disc just now, do we need to go ahead and get the one we usually get in September for candidates, or do you think we'll be okay using that one?
I haven't actually gotten the disc yet. The Secretary of State informed me that I was going to get the June 30th one. I had asked for the July 31st, and they were going to send me that also, but they had some production problem with that one. So that'll be probably a couple weeks away. And then it'll take me a couple more weeks to get the data out of it and get it loaded. But I think that'll be probably as good as we can get for the campaign.
Okay, thanks.
Point of information, this is Alexander Hutton Fundraising. What was on those postcards that went out to newly registered libertarians? Because I have strong interest in getting an affiliate going out on Eastern Plains, even if it's not just Lincoln County. You know, I don't know what the distribution of libertarians out there looks like. It's few and far between.
Yeah, the postcard says, I'll read it to you. Thank you for registering to vote Libertarian. We appreciate your support. Our website is at lpcolorado.org. You can sign up for twice a month event email notices at lpcolorado.org/sign up. And donations are always welcome at lpcolorado.org/donate. If you are interested in meeting other libertarians, please contact your county contact at lpcolorado.org/affiliates or our affiliates director at affiliatesdirector@lpcolorado.org. Thank you, Victoria Reynolds, State Chair. So that's what it says. I'm open to revisions to that. If you'd like to come up with something that's a little more persuasive, I'm willing to go with that.
Is there a logo or some other graphic on there?
The mailing side has our return address with the logo.
Okay.
So, any other?
David. Going on with the bylaws mandated committee reports, if any. Usually conventions is here. We don't have a convention. We have an unconvention. Michelle, would you like to speak to the convention, to the event we're having on the 29th, the unconvention? Thank you.
So far, the planning is going pretty well. It's keeping me really, really, really busy. We're trying to juggle how many sales we're having for the convention itself because the space is limited. We're only allowed so many people in the room at a time. So we have a day ticket, which is for candidate training. And we're going to offer a special candidate training price because we would like to get our candidates there because we do have stuff that's specifically for them. We also have the Constitution of States are going to present something. The National Popular Vote is going to present something. We also have a couple of authors and stuff that have written books on liberty and so on and so forth. So we have all the stuff that we normally have at a regular convention, and a lot of really good speakers. You can purchase the day ticket if you just want to go to the seminars or the training, or you can purchase the gala if you just want to go to the dinner, which does include a museum tour and dinner and wine with Joe Jorgensen, the presidential candidate, or you can get the whole package. You go on the website, lpcolorado.org, and click on the unconvention. You will find all the details for that. The seats are very, very limited. So if you're thinking about purchasing a ticket, do it ASAP. The rally, that is a different event. The Jorgensen rally is a $5 ticketed event on Eventbrite. If you purchase any ticket through the Colorado LP, you automatically get to go to the rally. So we have to keep track of how many people are coming here, so we know how many tickets we can sell there. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions? We'll see y'all there. You have a question?
Yep.
Is there anything unlawful or unpractical offering against people are talking about, like, could you accept their monies and refund them later, or promise them that it'll be turned into a libertarian donation if they reach maximum capacity? I've noticed in currently that if you do that sort of thing, you put a cap on it, more people, you don't reach it because everybody's like, oh, I'm
I would rather not have to try to go through all the brain damage of refunding a lot of money. As we get closer to it, then I think we can adjust things. I really don't want to, I don't want to oversell the room, because I don't want somebody to be disappointed and I have to be the one to say, you can't go. Yes, I would really rather leave a couple of spaces empty rather than to oversell and have somebody upset with me. And we did last year when we had to cancel our convention. There were a lot of people that donated all of their money that they paid for the convention to the party. They get the first seats, and they've all been notified that if you paid for a ticket and you donated that money, you automatically have a VIP ticket to this event, and it's all paid for. And I only have right now 3 of those people that have said they're not coming, and I have about 4 people that have not answered yet. Pretty much everybody else has taken up our offer to be at this event.
There's also an online.
Yes, and for the first time ever, because of this, if you want to go to the training, if you want to, or if you want to listen to Joe Jorgensen stuff, you can do an online ticket. Everything at the event will be streamed online. The seminars, the training will be webinars, so you can actually get training. You'll get training materials that you can download, and you can actually participate in the training from the comfort of your own home. So there is a special ticket for that.
And how much is that ticket?
That ticket is $109. The day ticket, if you're just doing the training, is $119. That's because we're feeding you lunch. The evening ticket, if you just want the gala alone, is $129 or $129. If you get the whole package, it's $199. So you save quite a bit if you just do the whole.
And the online has access to everything.
You'll get a tour
Except
of
for
the
meals.
museum via Zoom. You can get a picture of Joe Jorgensen in front of a 1920s car in her 20s outfit via Zoom, or we'll actually send you a photograph. But because you're not actually there, we would have to hold up a laptop with your picture on it. So, but we can do that. We can make exceptions for people that cannot be there. We do have a lot of people who have autoimmune problems and stuff like that, and we do want to accommodate as many people as we can.
Or people who can't travel from the Western Slope.
Yes, Western
or-
Slope's a long ways away, and we did end up moving from the mountains to the plains. So.
Any other questions? Mr. Gilbranson.
Do you need any volunteers to help?
I do need volunteers to help. Actually, it is for the rally outside. We're covered on the inside for what we need for volunteers, but I will need somebody outside to check as cars come in to make sure that we're staying under our limit.
And that they all have tickets.
Yes. So I'm still working on getting the AV person set up, but I have all the people that are going to be doing, decorating and registration and stuff like that already taken care of. But I'm always welcome to have more volunteers if you want to come.
Thank you, Ms. Pogue.
No.
Mr.
Go on,
Gershman can take your money.
I'm sorry, we don't accept cash.
It's getting closer.
That's just the start.
Vacancy committee. Okay. David, oh, that's further down the line. Did the campaigns committee have a report? No, we already passed that. Where are we? New business. I would like to announce the new Best Practices Committee Chair, Ms. Regan Benson. And she has a few words to say regarding her committee.
How much time do I have?
3 minutes. If you need more, let us know.
That's okay.
Without objection, we're going to extend the time to 5 minutes for this announcement. Go ahead. If you need more.
Okay. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Libertarian Party of Colorado. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to be here and come speak civilly about a process that I'm excited to be a part of. I need you to know that my heart and my soul is in this party. You don't see me, you don't hear me a lot because I'm not involved in party business. And there's a reason for that. And that's because I'm an activist. I am an activist at heart every single day, pounding the pavement of the streets of Denver with a nonprofit called Helping Hands for Dignity Coalition that many of you in this room helped me form. And with that comes my responsibility to continue to talk about the party platform and the philosophical meaning of limiting government. And I'm helping the homeless every day to discover the Libertarian Party. And it's been wonderful. And I was very excited to be able to consider this position, and I take it graciously and with a lot of honest responsibility. I want to make this a good process because it needs to happen in this party. And so I wanted to briefly touch on the ideas for this new committee, and I thank you for the opportunity to chair this committee. It's the first of its kind for the LPCO, and that committee is the Complaints Committee, defined as a committee for addressing serious complaints that have the potential to undermine the party's effectiveness at reaching its goals. So I've taken a short excerpt out of the preamble of the Libertarian Party as a reminder of what those goals are. As libertarians, we seek a world of liberty, a world in which all individuals are sovereign over their own lives and are not forced to sacrifice their values for the benefit of others. We believe that respect for individual rights is the essential precondition for a free and prosperous world. That force and fraud must be banished from human relationships, and that only through freedom can peace and prosperity be realized. Consequently, we defend each person's right to engage in any activity that is peaceful and honest, and welcome the diversity that freedom brings. The world we seek to build is one where individuals are free to follow their own dreams in their own ways without interference from government or any authoritarian power. I'd like for this to be a reminder of what brings us together as libertarians and work to keep grievances and redress of the party honest and transparent, so that maybe one day, maybe we can focus on issues prudent to the advancement of liberty. I'm an issues person. Candidates, I'm there for you, but I'm an issues person. We have to do more talking. So my ideas are in the beginning stages, as I was recently asked to chair this committee just last week and have given it some thought while I was out of town. And I need some time to define the best practices that should be presented to the board in the next 30 days and adopted as formal policy, or a process in which the committee simply makes recommendations to the board based on legitimate complaints submitted to the committee, to be decided by the committee on the severity of the complaint and the route of addressing that complaint. Number one, best practices must first be defined and adopted. The timeline for this should allow the committee to first form and then define what those best practices are. So I'd like to do a board report. I want to have this process done in the next 30 to 60 days. That would be the goal. Number two, those that wish to be on this committee simply need to express interest via email at complaints@lpcolorado.org. I do plan to design a simple questionnaire, so please be patient as I work through that. But if you do have interest, please email at that address, complaints@lpcolorado.org. The committee cannot be sat with any current directors at the state or national level or any affiliate directors. That was number three, bullet point. Number four, committee members must be registered with the Libertarian Party in accordance to the required timeline for any committee's involvement as set forth in the bylaws. I'm not exactly clear on what those are, but I wanted to make sure that they followed the bylaw process. Number five, the committee should consist of 3 to 5 members that can commit to an ethical stand of a non-biased approach to confidentiality, honesty, and integrity. It would be expected the committee members that have any conflict of interest should recuse themselves from any decision-making. Number six, complaints that will be accepted for review and or investigation shall not include criminal matters and will immediately be rejected as such if it is an obvious threat to someone's safety and or liberty. Financial crimes are also a tentative issue that must be decided upon by the committee for review. Nothing is set in stone. The committee will be tasked with simply making recommendations to the board and will have no decision-making authority to either censure or vote for action or removal from any director, committee, affiliate director position, but shall have the authority based on board guidance to accept complaints, for example, but yet to be defined by the committee, complaints related to abusive, unethical, misogynistic, racist, or other similar behaviors that threaten the advancement of individuals and their participation in the party. Number 8, the committee will also be tasked with making recommendations to the board to adopt a formal censuring policy that does not exist, and when instances would arise for executive sessions pertaining to complaints submitted to the committee. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Benson. Does anybody have any questions at this time for Ms. Benson?
I do, Madam Chair.
Ms. Harlos, go ahead, and then Bo Schaefer.
Reagan, that was such a fantastic outline. I'm like so impressed. Thank you for that. I'm really looking forward to your work. I have a question. Is this committee going to involve itself at all in disputes or things that are happening in public that could bring disrepute to the party that aren't necessarily with a member and a board member, but maybe between volunteers or between 2 prominent members? Obviously not some rando that nobody knows, but I think we all know who are the prominent members of the party, that if there's public issues going on, it discourages further volunteers from signing up and does bring disrepute to the party. Would the committee be in any kind of mediatory capacity in trying to bring peace between disputing party members at all?
Thanks for the question, Karen Ann. That's a fair question. I think if it hinders the advancement of the party, and if it is hindering volunteer activity, if people are feeling uncomfortable because of the inability to settle their own disputes, I think we should consider that. But again, I think the board or the committee needs to be formed and we decide what's a best practice right there, because we can't spend 24/7 quashing Facebook fights because people can't get along. It has to be about the advancement of the party. So I think that was in your question.
Yes, definitely. And I would encourage the committee to consider something like that. And I would love to speak with you offline, as this is something that Risa Willis and I had been working on for a while, about some kind of mutual accountability program. And it sounds like this is right along those lines. So I'd really be interested in speaking, but I think the chair of the state party chair made an excellent choice for the chair of this committee. I'm already impressed by what you said.
Thank you, Ms. Harlos. Mr. Boshafer, let me bring you the computer over there. That way people online can hear it.
All right. Well, first of all, my question, so this is now a 12th director? Is
No.
this a new committee?
It's a committee, it's not a
It's just a
director.
committee, not a director, okay. And out of curiosity, this is a subject close to my heart. I'm one of the few libertarians that's ever been brought up on censure. Some of you may remember, most of you probably don't know. But I'm just curious as to what would be a typical case that would be brought before you on this? I mean, are you going to be judging how libertarian somebody is? Does a complaint have to be made first? Okay, I'm willing to sit back and watch it for a while. The previous protocols didn't work real well, so I'm anxious to watch and see if this works out better. I'll talk with you after the meeting a bit, perhaps.
Thank you, Bob. Any other comments or questions for Ms. Benson? Without hearing any, we will continue with the agenda. Thank you, Ms. Benson. Yes, Mr. Griffith. Yes, it's on the list. There was, next is a motion to spend $200 on postcards to new registered libertarians. In counties where we do not have affiliates, names will come. 81 SOS voter file. Did you already speak to this effect, Mr. Aiken? What? The $200 motion to spend $200 on postcards. Is that something you added?
Yeah.
Is there someone who would like to make a motion to spend $200 for?
I move that we spend $200 to reach out to new libertarians in the next. Until it's gone.
Okay.
Second.
Is there any opposed, or do we want to do a vote by voice? Everybody's unmuted, so. If anyone is opposed, please speak now. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sounds like it's unanimous. Motion passes. Motion to spend, there's another motion. It appears to be from legislative. Motion to spend on annual professional subscription to BillTrack. Mr. Hess, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, after reviewing 5 various tools for tracking legislative activities throughout the year, I recognize that I am not the superhuman the previous legislative director was, and need a tool to aid me in coordinating the absolute fire hose that our legislative sessions usually are. To that effort, after reviewing 5 tools, BillTrack 50 stood out as the optimal tool for both management for myself, as well as coordinating a team of people that will be doing legislative review with me. Hopefully as well testifying in state capitol, so on and so forth. So with that in mind, I'd like to move that we spend $550 on an annual professional subscription with BillTrack 50.
There is a motion to spend $550 on an annual subscription with BillTrack. Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the topic?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Didn't Principles of Liberty digest all that for us? Have they reformed so we can just parasite off of their activities instead of having to recreate the wheel?
Rich Bratton, who ran Principles of Liberty, moved north, out of state. They no longer operate in Colorado. The software license for what Rich put together was purchased by the RLC, and we do not have privy to it. The RLC was willing to work with the previous legislative director, however, would not claim it as a bipartisan effort or give the Libertarian Party any credit whatsoever.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Oh, I have one more question. Is the $550 only good for 1 year?
Yes, it is an annual subscription.
That's about $1 a bill.
Pretty much. Any further commentary or questions? Any further discussion from members on the board? Mr. Gilbranson has a question. Without objection, we'll hear from him. Without objection, we will hear from Mr. Gilbranson.
Any objection, so I'm speaking. Is that 1 year subscription starting at when in time when you make the payment, or is that an annual subscription from the date?
Is the subscription prorated, Mr. Hess?
I believe it is just point in time. So if we subscribe in August of this year, it'll be due August of next year.
Thank you. Any further questions on the topic? I don't hear any other questions. Somebody want to call the question?
Call a question.
The question has been called. All in favor, say aye.
In favor of the motion or in favor of calling the question?
No, all in favor of the motion. All in favor of spending $550 for Bill Track for an annual subscription, please say aye now.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
If you're opposed, you say nay.
Nay.
I will take a roll call vote because I could not define a clear majority.
I think we only have one opposed.
It sounded like it, but I'm not 100% certain.
Okay.
So, Vice Chair,
Aye.
Treasurer,
Aye.
Fundraising,
Aye.
Campaigns, Outreach, Affiliates,
Aye.
Legislative,
Aye.
Membership,
Aye.
Communications,
Aye.
Secretary.
Nay.
With one abstention, one nay, and the rest ayes, the motion passes. Last item on the agenda. There is a motion to execute the presidential elector's acceptance of nomination form with party members present as presidential electors. The board is the vacancy committee as directed by the state convention. We need 9 volunteers who are registered libertarians to nominate themselves as electors, and then the board can approve them if so deemed.
9 people in the room. Please raise your.
As long as they are registered libertarians.
Do they have to be in the room?
Yes, because they have to sign the form.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got 10 right now that have 11 who have volunteered. What's your name? Damien. Last name? Damien McCarthy. Any opposed to Mr. Damien McCarthy being an elector? Are you a registered libertarian? He is a registered libertarian.
Since
Since? Doesn't matter, actually.
I registered initially when I was 18, and I think there was a period where I wasn't registered, and I registered.
But it's been more than 3 months.
Days, months, years.
Days, months, years.
I think like 2 months.
2 months. Any opposed to having Mr. Damian or McCarthy be an elector? I don't hear anybody. Next, Mr. Bo Schaefer. Will everyone approve of Mr. Bo Schaefer? Mr. Kyle Fury? Any opposed to Mr. Kyle Fury being on an elector? Miss Regan Benson? Any opposed to Miss Regan Benson being an elector? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. So far, I need 5 more. Mark Cavan? Trying to go with Michelle Pogue. Who else? Bruce Griffith. What is your name, sir?
Reed Johnson.
Reed Dotson. Was that 9? I went in order of who raised their hand first. That
I think that's
9.
it.
Ross Klopp.
That's 9.
Does the board approve the 9 electors that we just mentioned right now? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? I will ask now that the electors come over, fill their information, and sign this form. I only have one, so please do it. Don't screw up. And put your name, address, and so forth as you registered to vote, like your full name and address and so forth. Start with their name and print it out so that it's legible. We don't have any other business unless somebody has something they forgot to bring up.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, there we go. So I tried to jump in earlier, but my Zoom is having a hard time. I wanted to say something about the vacancy committee. We've got, well, the vacancy uncommittee, I should say, because we technically don't have one. So we have 2 seats to fill that we can fill if the board wants to vote on it tonight. That would be House District 3 for David Jurist, and House District 34, Rob Stoltz. If you guys want to consider that. And I just wanted to mention the other vacancies in case anybody knows anybody who might be in any of these districts who might want to consider running. We have until, what's that?
The names that you gave us, those are volunteers to fill those 2 positions, right?
Yes.
There is a motion to fill the 2 positions with the names of what? District 3.
David Jurist for House District 3 and Rob Stoltz for House District 34.
Is the board is the vacancy committee. Is there any opposed to filling those 2 slots with those 2 people? Doesn't sound like anybody is opposed. There's a motion to fill those 2 slots with the 2 people that Alan Heyman just mentioned without opposition. It would pass.
Okay, and I just wanted to mention the other races that we have vacancies for in case anybody has anybody in mind that could possibly fill these. Judicial District 4, if anybody knows any attorneys in El Paso County, we have a vacancy there. House District 24, House District 38, House District 55, House District 60, and Senate District 28. And we just recently got a couple more. Mr. Spalding withdrew for House District 25. I did get an email back, by the way, Mr. Spalding, from the Secretary of State that they got your withdrawal. And the same thing with Matt DG in Senate District 23, and House District 64, Tom Olmsted. Those just happened like within the last week. So if anybody has anybody in any of those districts that they would like to fill the vacancy with, we have until the 24th. The only other thing I would mention is that the acceptance by vacancy form that has to be turned in has to be notarized. They waived the requirements for the normal forms that we did this year, but they didn't waive the requirements for that one. So we have to do that. So those have to be notarized.
Madam Chairman, this membership, I have a question for Alan.
Hang on a second. Is there a deadline, Alan?
The 24th.
24th of August.
Yes.
Yes, proceed with your question.
Yeah, Alan, this is John Pickerel. Did you find somebody for House District 47? I thought that was vacant.
Who was in that one?
No one, we didn't have anybody nominated at the convention.
It can't be.
If they weren't nominated at convention, we can't fill it by vacancy. These are only spots that were nominated at convention. Those are the only ones that we can actually fill by vacancy.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pickerel. Thank you, Mr. Heyman. We do have a guest that has not been introduced in the room. Would you like to introduce yourself? We don't know who you are.
Yeah, I'm Eric Cook. Live in here. What do you need to know?
Yes, we are. Nice. Awesome. Welcome, welcome. It's in your county. Kyle here is the chairman of the Denver County Libertarian affiliate. Mark is also in the in Denver County. Sorry, that his name on Facebook is Funkhauser. So we were friends on Facebook before I ever met him. Anything else that anybody would like to speak about, or should we go ahead and adjourn? Ms. Pogue.
Anybody would like to know, we have a trailer full of all kinds of stuff, and while I was looking for information, I found we have a box of about 1,000 of these little postcards. They don't have our address on it. They do have our website on it and has our old logo. It's been changed so many times, it's hard to keep track of what the actual logo is for Colorado. But we do have like 1,000 of these. If anybody needs cards that thank you like that. I also have about 500 of these beautiful little note cards with the logo that we had before we had this logo. This is our address on 18th Street. Yeah. So if you're going to use it, I would probably cross that out on the ground. But we do have these, and if you're writing thank you notes to anybody, or if you just want to send somebody a note, you know, they're really nice cards, and they're just sitting there collecting stuff. Anybody wants them?
I'd like to take some of those. I still got some of my own campaign time.
Cool.
Awesome.
We'll put a sticker over that.
I think the other than the signatures, the motion, the party of the business of the party has been concluded, and this board can be adjourned if anybody calls to adjourn.
Yes. I move to adjourn.
Madam Chair.
Pardon?
Madam Chair, this is Wayne Harlos.
Mr. Harlos.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure that everybody gives as much support to Victoria in the upcoming debate that we are sponsoring in Douglas County as is possible. There's going to be a lot of Republicans and a lot of Democrats. We need to flood the room with Libertarians. So don't only bring yourself, but bring somebody else that can give Victoria the support. I think it's really important that because this is going to be filmed by CRCO, not only live, but it'll be reposted multiple times. The more support we can give Victoria, the better our presence will be felt. So please bring yourself and all your friends.
Sorry, Wayne. Wayne, could you give the date and time and details one more time?
Yes, the date is September
4th.
3rd.
3rd?
September 3rd. That's the first Thursday of next month. That will be at the White Pavilion in downtown Castle Rock. If you'll bear with me, I'll pull that up.
Yeah, there's a downtown in Castle Rock.
Okay, here we go. Okay, the address is 14 Perry Street in downtown Castle Rock. That's one block off of Wilcox, which is the main drag, one block east of Wilcox. And we're going to be starting at 6 o'clock. Anybody wants to be there early to help set up tables and chairs and things like that, we have 50 chairs to set up. We have to do a little bit of social distancing with a chair setup, but where everybody stands back behind the chairs, it's kind of a free-for-all. But we'll have 3 tables for the 3 candidates. I will be moderating. And this is going to be a full-on debate. So Victoria's going to have the opportunity to ask questions of either of the 2 candidates. They'll have an opportunity to respond, and then she'll have an opportunity to rebuke. Then we will also have a Q&A for the all the people that are there. I'm going to pass out 3x5 cards. And any questions that they want to have asked of all 3 candidates, they can do that, submit them to me, and I'll pick the ones that are the most interesting.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Wayne. Thank you for hosting the debate. Oh,
You're welcome. It's going to be a lot of fun.
you've got a question over here?
Earlier there,
Victoria, if that's a question for me, would you restate that, please? I didn't hear it.
It was a question for Mark Cavan.
Okay.
Oh, there went the form. No, it's just personally. To add something to a director's job description, it would have to be done by bylaws change. To make it permanent? Yeah. It's in the Constitution. We don't have standing rights. Because we voted them down, remember?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Ms. Carlos.
There are standing rules that weren't, the revised standing rules you guys voted down, but there are still standing rules that were passed 2 terms ago.
Yeah, but we can't add something to them without voting on them.
Correct, but those don't need a bylaw. The board just votes on them.
Thank you, Ms. Harlos.
That's what I meant.
Okay, that's what John meant. All right, there was a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming.